Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we want to take a look a little bit at Legend League, but as well, since we have the sneak peek times and the update is hopefully around the corner, we want to talk a little bit about the things which have not announced yet. For example, so far we have like upgrade costs are getting reduced, we have new levels on defenses and on a couple of troops, and obviously, like yesterday, we had the latest sneak peek announcement, which was the quality of life changes. So now it's all about what is still up. And I guess most of the updates, there are some part of balance changes. And if I get online in the game and take a look at my defense, I'm like, damn, this is not good. I'm like, okay, if I have one choice, I have one pick, what would I change in the balance right now? Like, what would I change? And I think if I am allowed to change one thing, I would probably change the Yeti blimp or like the Yetis in general. And I wouldn't nerf them like to death or anything, but I feel like the Town Hall right now has not that big of a meaning, to be honest. Like, you can always send the blimp, take out the Town Hall with the Yetis, and easily, most of the time, you don't even need a rage. So I feel like if I have one thing to change, I would 100% change the damage of Yeti Mites against the Town Hall, something like in that direction, because I feel like the Yeti Blimp without any spell should not be able to take off the Town Hall. But well, now it's up to you guys. What would you guys change? Do you agree with me like that the Yeti Blimp is a bit strong right now and the Yetis in general? I think this change would balance like both problems kind of at the same time. But what would be your change if you have one change for free? Regarding the balance, not like, I don't know, like the one being smarter or the queen, whatever. It's about balance. So let me guys know down below in the comments what you guys would think. But what we should do right now is concentrate on a couple of nice attacks, and with a couple of nice attacks against a couple of guys, for example against Manufong, who is using this base. And you can see the direction right now which most of the bases are heading, which is kind of interesting because this base is kind of going into a different direction. This base is really heavily built against Electro Dragons, and I think it's trying to counter the Yeti Smash as well, even though it's using air expos. But what you can see on this base is always the gaps, like the anti-E-Drag gaps, which is kind of cool. And I have to admit, after seeing that base, I thought about building like something similar, because take a look at the core. You can't really like accept the air defense and the Inferno Tower, which I guess he can still fix, but except that, there is not a single bounce in this base. It's crazy. Except like those Wizard Tower compartments over here, there's not a single base where it's like double or close together defenses. Everything in the core, like all those things around the core, the expos, the air defense, the Inferno Tower, the Eagle, the CC, everything is not bounceable for E-Drags. This base is crazy nuts. For E-Drags is my guess. So that's kind of interesting, and I think it should be kind of annoying for the Yeti Smash as well. But yeah, I mean, I can only guess, but for E-Drags, this base should be completely pain. So if you guys have any problems with E-Drags, maybe consider copying this base. But either way, on my like the last couple of days, I noticed that I got worse and worse on offense. I was wondering like, what exactly is the reason behind that? And I felt like a lot of people, when using the hybrid attack right now, are opening with a blimp. Like they're using the Yeti blimp for something, and then they're doing the main attack. Like they try to lure out the CC, they try to take out a single Inferno Tower, whatever. And this, in my opinion, I feel like, because I changed that like yesterday, for example, in my attacks, I tried to not open up with the Yeti blimp, because I feel like the Yeti blimp is strong. But if you start with a Yeti blimp, you kind of often run into baits, which isn't the best thing. Especially like in War, for example, you can figure out like, yeah, that looks kind of obvious like a bait, etc. But in Legend League attack, you're kind of happy for those baits, to be honest. Like if you see a base which is being able to attack with one certain army, or like with the army you have, and there's a kind of obvious entry, most of the time you're like, oh, this entry looks good, and it's really hard to see a different entry after you saw the first one. So if this first entry is baited somehow, you have a really tough time. So this is something which is kind of unique for Legend League, and which makes Yeti Blimp right now kind of a risky thing to use in most of the openers, but I feel like as soon as you're delaying the blimp is getting even stronger. So yeah, that's something which is kind of interesting, and I feel like more and more people are like adapting to the meta, even though you can't really defend it overall. Like it's, for example, if someone would come in from the bottom, like Yeti Smash, and as soon as his Yetis are around the core, and then he's just sending in the blimp for the Town Hall, from the, like, he's coming in from the bottom side and the Town Hall's at the top. In my opinion, that should be never ever a safe thing to enter over there. But with the blimp, it's always an easy thing, because as soon as his troops are around the first couple of layers, he's just sending the blimp in and just using the Warden ability, and the blimp will make it to the Town Hall no matter what. There could be 1 million Black Mines, and there could be the Trainer Trap, but only one Trainer Trap won't be able to fix this. So yeah, that's a big problem in my opinion right now. But let's take a look at the next attack, which is going to be against this base. And this is more like one of those bases which you might know from earlier days. Like this base was kind of popular on Town Hall 12. So this is kind of like an old base. And actually, I had no clue coming into this attack how to attack this base, because it's kind of like, I never saw this base on Town Hall 13. And on Town Hall 12, I did not too often attack this, especially not with Hybrid. So coming to this attack, I had a couple of things which could work, kinda. The first thing I was thinking about is coming off from the right or from the top side, trying to dodge as many expos as possible. But I felt like, okay, if I would enter over there, at some point I would run into the single Inferno towers, and all of the expos would be on the back end, and I wouldn't be able to lure the clan castle. So what I decided to do is, I wanted to get I wanted to get into the enemy clan castle as early as possible, so there's not too much damage on my queen during taking that out. The next thing is, always when you're seeing their archers coming out of the clan castle, more archers, try to delay the poison a little bit. Otherwise you will have really big issues and trouble to take out the goblins in the end, which will take ages for your queen to clear with having no poison left. So this is like a small trick I can give to you guys. The next thing is, I always get asked so many times by people, it's how do you predict kind of traps? And this is this is something especially on those bases which are kind of symmetrical. You can kind of predict traps. As soon as a trap is on one side, it's most likely on the other side as well. That's something which you can abuse, and I abuse it over here because there were 2 Black Mines on the left side, which were kind of symmetrical on that part. And yeah, now I'm just sending in the Hybrid, and once again, even though I'm getting access into the core kind of easily, it's not too safe with the second star, with the 2-star in the end. And once again, like I said, I'm not doing the Yeti Blimp opener, I'm doing the back end. And this is what I mean by using the Warden ability early. This could have been done with Yeti Smash as well, but at some point, just use the Warden ability and send in the Blimp with it, and just clear the Town Hall easily, just super easily. And from now on, the only goal for my miners and Hybrid troops in the core are clearing out the core. As soon as that's done, my queen will finish up the rest, because she can reach up and everything in this base which is left. And since the Hybrid, or like the miners, are surviving around the eagle is going down, and this means this base is getting tripled. I think it was a nice attack, and like I said, I'm right now, I don't know how it's for you guys, but for me right now, when I'm starting off with the Yeti Blimp, I feel like it's super risky. I feel like it's most of the time super risky, because so many players are using it right now, which means as soon as you're using a main strategy, or like a main a super common strategy, you have to be really creative to not run into the most obvious attack, or not into the most obvious bait. And yeah, that's something which you always have to keep in mind when you're using an early blimp. If you're using a delayed blimp, there's no chance for the defender to defend that. Like, there's no way on how you can defend a Yeti blimp which is delayed. There's no counterplay, and that's the crazy thing to me. But yeah, either way, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. It was more like me raging about the Yeti blimp, because I feel like people are being able to do entries which they're not supposed to do. And like I said, I want to have your guys' opinion. I do not want to be like the grumpy guy who's always saying, this is bad, this is bad. I want to have your guys' opinion. Do you agree with me, or do you think right now the balance and everything is totally fine? That would be super cool to have your opinion on that. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like the game, especially on Town Hall 13, could be a little bit harder. I hear it from a lot of different areas, kinda, that Town Hall 12 right now feels harder than Town Hall 13. I think that should be never even the case. That shouldn't be even like a discussion in my opinion. But yeah, once again, I want to have your guys' opinion. I want to have your guys' feedback, because I have my point of view, but every one of you guys have your own point of view, and you should have your own point of view, and you should communicate that to have like an impact on the balance and everything, because we as the community, we can give feedback to Supercell, and that's always a nice thing, and most of the time they listen if you can like bring over the feedback reasonable, and that's something I try to achieve every single time. So guys, thank you so much for your time. I hope you liked the 2 attacks. And like I said, if you want to attack, or like if you want to defend against E-Drax, use the first base, copy it, and try it on your own. I hope you guys will have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys back tomorrow for another video. Until then, see you guys, and bye bye.